So I think it's time to bring in our next speaker.
Yes.
Definitely.
Hey, Layla.
Oh, hello.
Hi. We're just janking you in the stream.
I know. I'm like, you're 1 minute early. I'm very punctual, and this is not 1 minute early.
Oh, we are rude. We should have talked about the cat a little bit more.
I know. I was just like zoning out, sitting here going, wait a minute. They're talking about cats. It's all good. My doorbell's ringing. My dogs are going nuts. I'm like, it's all fine.
We like all animals. Dogs are allowed. We actually have a dog watching the stream today at the office. We saw that on Twitter.
Are they enjoying that, do you think?
It seems so. It seems so. Yeah. They looked interested enough.
I assume so. Yeah. So how are you?
I'm good. I'm having problems with the virtual backgrounds. StreamYard doesn't like my green screen. So here I am,
really?
ready for green screen challenges, I guess, you know? So we'll see what goes on today.
Which technically, I'm just putting it out there, technically that would be a raffle ticket if you use the hashtag.
Oh no.
And do I get a raffle ticket for everybody who does a green screen challenge of me?
Well, at least if you co-tweet them.
Yeah, if you retweet them, then you would.
Oh, it depends how bad
Speakers
they are.
can win.
Yeah, speakers are allowed.
So I am the only one that cannot win.
No, we can't win either, and I'm pretty sure the sponsors can't either. So that was a challenge for all of you. There's a green screen. We need more cats and dogs together with Layla.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I see. Okay. So you're giving everybody ideas now. Okay.
You started it.
I know. I'm a glutton for punishment. So, you know.
Okay, be kind, people.
Yeah, be nice.
Yeah. Well, we do have a very nice community. I need to say that.
We do have a lovely community. So we love you. Remember that. Be nice. We love you. This heart could break.
Not dramatic in any sense.
Not at all.
No.
I can ham it up. It's all fine.
And you're joining us from the UK, aren't you?
I am. Yes.
Yeah, we're moving around a little.
Yeah, jumping around here, there, and everywhere, and across time zones. It's awesome to have such a fantastic conference. I'm very excited to be here. So
We were excited as well.
Yeah.
thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Maybe we should just give the floor to you.
We could do that.
Alrighty.
Let's bring
There we go.
in there. Yeah. Take it away.
All right. So, hello, everybody. I am going to talk to you about top tips for Blazor. Now, these are my top tips after the years I've been doing Blazor. I don't do loads of Blazor. I do a lot of back-end development, but I love playing around in Blazor in the front end. I'm not an expert like Sam and Ed and the other people you'll see here. So these are my tips. If you're coming at it from a new start, this is going to help you, I hope, and give you a nice idea about things that you can do with Blazor. Now, you don't need to worry about copying anything because I'm going to drop a link to these slides into chat. Well, I'm going to ask maybe Jessica to do that, or Jimmy, or Daniel, one of them, one of the people who can't win a raffle ticket, to drop it into chat for you all. So a little bit about me. I'm a developer advocate for .NET at VMware. Yes, VMware does love .NET. And I'm a Microsoft MVP, GitHub Star, that's not on there. I live code on Twitch. And I am also the founder of the Women of .NET initiative. If you want to know more about that initiative, you can reach out to me. My Twitter is down in that corner. And we would love to connect with more people. But anyway, let's go into Blazor. Now, if you have just joined and you're like, what is this Blazor everyone is talking about? This is from the Microsoft Docs. Blazor lets you build interactive web UIs using C# instead of JavaScript. It's like, yes, no more JavaScript. Forget what Ed Charbonneau was just talking about. It's not strictly true. We still need to use some JavaScript, but there's a lot less JavaScript, and there's more and more libraries being written all the time to sort of wrap up JavaScript, interoperability. I can't say that. Interop stuff. Okay, all of that stuff. So you can do a lot more code without having to touch nearly as much JavaScript, which is really nice if you're a more back-end focused full stack developer like me. I get a cough now. Hang on. So the first thing I want to do is server or WASM. Now, you heard Jimmy talking about how he does a lot more server, and you're like, oh, I just joined. I'm a bit late. I've just woken up. I don't know the difference. Now, Blazor, the C# code executes on the server, and it uses SignalR, which is a lovely wrapper for WebSockets behind the scenes for client and server to have a little chit chat. The pros are it's super fast loading, supports older browsers like IE 11. Will it ever die? No. Secure and secret code can be run with ease. So like Jimmy and Sam were talking about with application insights, you can run stuff like that on it. It's going to be familiar because it's very similar to the MVC pattern that we know and I love. Cons are you do require a server, no offline support, unusual scaling problems, and latency due to it being super chatty. Now, Blazor WASM is Blazor WebAssembly, and C# code executes on the browser. It's kind of like a single page application or a SPA like React or Angular or Vue or any of the plethora of JavaScript SPA frameworks and libraries out there. Now, it is fast UI code because it's running completely in the client. It's easy to scale because you can stick it in a CDN for free, or you can deploy it to places like Netlify or Azure Static Web Apps. And if you have a progressive web app, you're going to have offline support. Now, it is fiddly secure, but we saw Stace Cashmore talking about how you can secure it. It is a slow start due to a big payload, and it is a significant payload compared to its JavaScript counterparts. Debugging is a pain. I will not lie to you. Debugging is not a great experience. It is getting better over time, but it is still a little bit tricky, and you have to employ some little tricks for it. SEO, like any other SPA, is a little bit fiddly. I'm going to cover some things about SEO, and a server will still be needed if you want API support or anything like that. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Blazor hybrid web apps with .NET MAUI. I'm going to sneeze now. What is it with coughing and sneezing? I don't know. So let's just have a look at MAUI. You're going to hear a lot more about MAUI later on today, so I'm not going to linger on it too much, and there's going to be people who know a lot more about MAUI than I do. But that stands for Multi-Platform App UI, and it is set to replace Xamarin. Whether you are happy about that or not, that's what's happening. It is still in preview. Look at this caution down there. Be aware of that. And this allows MAUI apps, and more importantly, it's .NET, to run natively on Android, iOS, Windows, and macOS, all with a single code share. But what does that have to do with Blazor? Well, you can quickly convert Blazor apps to desktop or mobile. You will need Visual Studio 2022 Preview. Ed Charbonneau taught me how to do this, so thanks, Ed. Make sure you catch him on Twitch. And he showed me how we can do this Blazor in, hybrid thingy. So let's go and have a look. I have quite a few demos to show you today. So let's go to the first one. Right. So this here is a Blazor hosted application. So over here on the left, I'm going to make this full screen, and it's got a client app, a server app, and a shared app. And if I was just to come in and run the client app, it will run like any other Blazor app that you'll see. It starts up, and you can see it's just the template. Now, what you can do is bring in the Blazor the Blazor Maui project. And there's a template for that in Visual Studio 2022. You have to toggle a whole load of options on it. Let me get rid of this diagnostics tool here. And if I actually bring up is it this one? I had them all in order, so I'm hoping it's this one. Where's the... I can't have them side by side. It's too small. No, that's not the one we wanted. It is this one. So this is a straight out the box Maui Blazor app. And what you can see on the left is it's got resources, shared, and pages. Now, what we have to do when we're going to pipe a Blazor client through is ripple that out, because we're going to use the Blazor client, because that's what we want to do. We're converting an existing Blazor WASM app into a desktop type thing. And in our WW root, we rip all of that out, and we're just left with this index.html. But we have to rename that because the Blazor client has that, and we're going to get a conflict. So we rip that out, and basically, I'm going to minimize this now. We come in here, and this here is all, I'm going to make that bigger. It's literally a straight up copy of the one in the client app. But there is a big difference that if I go down to this one, this is the Maui one. You can see it's going to use blazor.webview, and our client one uses WebAssembly. And it's important that when you copy all of your index file into your Maui that you don't overwrite that. What you want is just to bring all of your CSS stuff, because we just deleted all of that out of our Maui app. So it has to use the one from the client. And then there's a couple of other things that we have to go and do, not in this file. In our main page, no, that's the one I just opened, main razor, we have to go and update and tell it that, hey, we're going to use this assembly. So you go in and do that, and then you tell it the layout you want to use is the one from the client app. So you go and do all of that and bring it all together. Now, if I go and run this, and I'm going to have to run my server, although it won't work. So I don't know why I'm bothering, but let's go and do it, because I want you to see that's like effectively, I just pulled that out, effectively pulling that out. And if I turn on debugging here and here, so that's my Maui app, apply and OK. Now I'm going to run it, and you'll see it's going to start a desktop app. Eventually, I'll just sit back. It's coming. There we go. Okay, so what this has done, the hosted version has piped through the client app, and then we've got exactly the same app coming through on our desktop one. It's not as simple as that, because yes, the counter works, but our fetch data, you can see that doesn't load. So if you do this, you are going to have to do some magic with any of your HTTP clients, because the Maui one doesn't know what's happening. So that's something I can show you in another app that we're going to look at, but there are some fiddly things that you're going to have to go and fix. But all in all, it's a lot better than writing an app from scratch. All right, so let's go back here. Oh, I changed the view. Let me come back here. I meant to just press F11. Alrighty. So let's go on to the next one. Head outlet. This was my favorite thing to come to Blazor last year. So excited by this, because I wanted to do this theme switcher. And so I went through and I was like, oh, I have to do this theme switcher. And then they released the head outlet, and I'm going to show you why this is so cool. So we might want, no, that was it. This will modify the head element. Now, you know, in days of old, we would have had to have used some JavaScript. It would have had to have gone up and done some fiddling around in the head and a whole load of headaches. But now all you need to do is add the root components to your builder, and then you can use the head content component. Documentation is listed there, but again, let's go. I'm going to press F11 this time, and let's go and have a look at what this looks like. So if I maximize this one, this is just a Blazor template. And straight away, you can see that we have this head outlet line here, and it has to come after the main app. And this is quite important. I want you to remember this here. I will show you this later on. So we add in this head outlet, and that's it. It's ready to use now. So if I go into, not in here, I put mine into my nav menu. I've got my head content used here, and I could change my theme. So quite often you'll go to a website and it'll have light and dark theme, and that's usually a whole load of messy JavaScript to deal with that. No more, you can use the head content. This is also good for having your title change, meta tags. So remember I said how SEO was a little bit difficult? If you have your meta tags in here, you can have for each view, you can have your meta tags in your head content, and you can update those on a view by view basis. So that is fantastic. So there's a lot of applications for this. And basically what we have is a variable here called style sheet. You can see the razor syntax there with @ and then we come down here, and on page load, I say use this CSS sheet, please. So it does that. And then if we come down here, I have this checkbox clicked, because if I go up here, I've added this little theme switch, and it's a checkbox. I actually have like a little slider you'll see in a moment. And what that does is it will switch the theme. So you can see it will go Site Alt, and it will go back here, and I've got lots of different things changing. I changed the logo. I've got that up here. So, there's some really nice other little tweaks that you can do. I can't remember where it is, but there's a logo somewhere in here. Maybe, oh, there it is. So it's going to change that, and it's going to change some text. So let's run it and see. This one was a bit quicker, wasn't it? All right, so doesn't that look splendid? Isn't that lovely? But let's go and change the theme. Isn't that great? Really lovely on your eyeballs, isn't it? But you see how quick that was? We just switch back and forth, and that was all just done with that head outlet component. And I didn't have to write any horrible JavaScript. So that was one of my favorite components. I think it's really useful for lots and lots of reasons. So yeah, that's my favorite component. Alrighty, let's minimize that. This doesn't like F11, does it? Let me pop that back up there. Oh dear. Okay, coming down here. Alrighty, so the next thing, performance. This is what everyone wants to know about, isn't it, really? I have 5 things to talk about in performance. Let's get started. So, ahead of time compilation, AOT. This is, wow, a lot of hype around this, but I do want to throw in some cautionary tales about this. Basically, when you run Blazor WASM on the browser, it's interpreted. Your .NET DLLs are interpreted by Blazor WASM, okay? Whereas on a server, we use just-in-time runtime. So it's not interpreted in the same way. And interpreted code is much slower, okay? So when you have really CPU intensive iterations and things like that, this is where your AOT compilation is going to really shine. I'm talking like image processing or something. If you're going to do that on your client, this could be really good. It is dramatically faster results. I'm not going to lie that it is really good, okay, because it's just compiles down to Blazor WASM. Cons, it can take a considerable amount of time to build your application, and it is a much larger payload to download to the client on an already large payload. So is it really worth it? You have to really think about what you're doing if you need to compile it down to native WebAssembly. I did a demo and I did the regular publish on without AOT was 16 seconds, and the finished app was 15.6 meg. Now, I did it with AOT. It took 1 minute 45 to build it, and then it was more than double the size. It was 32.7 meg for the exact same app. So if you have a lot more code, I mean, that was just the basic template. I can show you, and that is here. All you have to do this is stick this line in, have a go, try it, pop that line in your CS proj, do publish and see what happens. And if I go back to the slides, and this is how we can do it. So you will need the .NET workload install, the WASM tools, and you do that by installing it as a workload on the CLI. You'll need to put that tag in your CS proj, and then to publish it and see what happens, you'll need .NET publish -c. Release will be smaller. And if you want to learn more about that, go check out the documentation. There's a lot of other things around it, but just know it's there, but know the pitfalls and really think, is that for you? So virtualization. Now, this is an improvement to perceived performance. Now, you know, if you're on Twitter and you're scrolling through and you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling some more, or Instagram, this is kind of a use for that. It's really good for rendering a set of data items in a loop. Many of the items are hidden, and they all need to be of a similar size. Traditionally, you would do a for each loop like that on the top right, but now you're going to use the virtualized component. Now, if you watch Jeff Fritz on Twitch, and he is building his ClipTalk app, he's been doing some stuff with virtualization, and he has come into problems with it. It's not very performant. He's getting some weird ticks as it loads it. So he hasn't solved that as yet last week. He may have solved it now, but he was doing some weird stuff with JavaScript. And what is happening is it will calculate the number of items to render based on the height of like your container that they're in and the size of each component. And that's why it's important that they're all of a similar size. And it recalculates it on the fly, but it fetches the slice of records that it's doing. So it doesn't go and get like the 20,000 records that you want to display. It goes and gets them. So it can be a little bit chatty. You can stick any of the following into a virtualized component: plain HTML and Razor, one or more Razor components, a mix of HTML and Razor. So it's very versatile, but it's not ideal at the moment. So just be aware that there are some quirks to it. If you want to check out C# Fritz on Twitch and see how Jeff is solving it, if you think you're going to need this, go see what he's doing. But yeah, I think it's cool that it's in a component, but it is going to need a little bit of tweaking. Again, documentation is listed there. Over refactoring. We're all guilty of this. Well, I am. I like to fiddle with my code and fiddle and make it pretty, and you know, it's all maintainable. I mean, I even had a talk on keeping it dry, as in don't repeat yourself. So you'll come and you'll see this icky like for each loop, and you're like, I'm blazoring all the things, so I am going to have it componentized. So on the left, you've gone and got your chat message display component. That's it there below, and you can see it's just a little bit of HTML. But if you have a lot of items to render, think thousands, this is going to be less efficient, because Blazor is going to have to go and re-render that bit of HTML on the bottom left every time. And you think it's doing that for thousands, that's going to be a bit of a performance hit. So if you are doing loads and loads and loads of records, try and go for the pattern on the right, where you haven't got that parent-child. You just stick the HTML directly in the parent and iterate over that. You may want to know, well, do I need to do the virtualize here? But you know, if you aren't doing virtualize and you are looping over thousands because you need them all on screen, try not to do the parent-child pattern for performance reasons. Right. So lazy loading. kind of like the lazy loading for anything that we do. If you don't need an assembly there ready, you can just load it at a later time. You'll have to define it in the CS proj and say lazy load this DLL as and when needed. So that's another way to make the startup performance, because it's going to be a smaller download, smaller payload, because it's not bringing all the DLLs at once. So that could be another perceived performance. So if you've got a really big app, consider doing this. Pre-rendering. This does help with perceived performance. There are some quirks to it. It requires a server, so there is added cost. A server will serve requested page whilst the WASM payload is downloaded in the background. It can be a little bit fiddly. There is this weird double load. I'll show you that in a minute. But you can fix that with the persistent component state documentation. I really use Andrew Locke and John Hilton's blog to do this. So I've put links to them there. Now, if I come in and have a look at my last application, all of these repos are available. I want to just show you a regular app here. So this is a Blazor hosted. If I run this, I just want to show you something quickly. So you can see that was quite slow loading, wasn't it? And if I go fetch data, that was quick. But if I go direct to fetch data, watch this. We've got the loading and then it comes in, okay? So that's what we're trying to fix, because you've got that loading coming up and you're like, oh, God. And this pre-rendering is really good for fixing your SEO as well. So this one is, I think, one of the most interesting ones to do. Now, there's quite a lot of setup in this. I won't go into it because there's not time. Check out the blogs. But the important thing to notice is that the host, which is a Razor page type syntax, is taking those head outlet and pre-render client out of the index.html in the client app and sticking them in here. That's really important. And now, if I run this one, so I'm still running the server, and we bring that up. Now, did you notice how quick that was? There was no loading, was there? No one saw the loading. And I'll go to fetch data. That behaves as normal. Now, the weird double loading I was talking about, if I go here and I do this, watch the data really closely. All right? And watch, there's no loading. Straight there, reload. Did you see it? I'll do it again. So watch, there's no loading in the top left-hand corner, and the actual data loads twice. See? So that's the double loading. But did you see how much better the performance felt? Because we were piping it through, it's being served lightning quick, and in the background, the payload is being downloaded. So I think this is really awesome. And because every page can be crawled by the little, crawler bots, you'll get SEO. And remember to use your meta tags in your head outlet. So you're combining lots of things there. There's also the fix in here in John Hilton's blog that you could use for fixing the HTTP client issues that we saw in the Blazor hybrid app. I've done that in this repo, so you can follow along and have a look. And it's basically implementing multiple versions of an interface for both, so they know what they're going to do. So let's get on. I'm aware I've been talking a lot and there's still a little bit to go. Right, so if I go F11 and we'll go across here, and we've seen the code. Testing is really important, and we have the wonderful library built by Eagle Hansen on BUnit. And so BUnit allows it, I just got this from the docs, so you can have a look. It will test all of the components in the front, and really, really nicely documented. You can watch Eagle on Twitch. Ed uses this a lot, Ed Charbonneau. You can see it running. It is pretty cool. So if you need testing for your app, you can go ahead and have a look at that. And then You already saw in Ed's talk a bit about the Blazor REPL, but I wanted to bring it in here as well because I think it's really cool. It's free. And if you come in here, you can go and play with your components. You can build stuff. You can share it. Think of it like CodePen. Just go and build stuff. The Telerik site has some good tips for using it, so you can go check it out. I think it's a really good way to play and share code. So make sure you go and check that out. And finally, thank you so much. You can get the slides on that bit.ly link, and I'll make sure it's dropped into the chat. Let me do that now. So you can go and get these slides. I don't think I put the GitHub repository on here. I didn't. I will update the slides that you're getting so you can go and find the GitHub repository. They are on my GitHub, but I'll put a direct link to them here. If you want to talk to me about anything, you can reach me at Layla P at VMware. All my social links, so Twitter and my Twitch, I stream regularly on Twitch, is all on layla.dev. You can go check that out and find all the ways to connect with me. And if you want to talk any more about the Women of .NET initiative, ping me. And that's not gender specific. We love our allies. So thank you very much, I guess. Oh, that was a whirlwind. I need to sit down. Oh, I am sat.
Forgot about that. Nice talk. Thank you very much. In chat went wild. We have a bunch of questions.
Oh gosh.
It's all good. Is Blazor also part of the .NET?
Yes, it is. It is a big part of .NET, so it's all just written. .NET 6 is the latest version, so you can build it all with .NET. All the code that you know and love, you can build with that. So yes.
Okay. How does authentication work in Blazor WebAssembly with pre-rendering enabled?
Oh, that's a really good question. So because it's going to be served, there's going to be initially you've got the server, so that's going to handle a lot of your authentication. Now you will still have to do security on your Blazor client app like you would any other hosted. I don't think it's a huge difference, but I haven't done it. That's not something I have done, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be some good documentation on it, as pre-rendering is one of the big things that has come up recently. But that's a really good question. I'm going to write that down if you don't mind, because I'd love to look into that.
That's nice. And also, it's recorded.
That's true. But I'm going to forget about it if I don't write it down.
Oh, that's true. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
It lives somewhere in the brain, and then it's gone because other stuff.
Exactly. So I've scribbled that down. So I will look at it up, because I think that's a really good question.
Awesome. Then we have, what about hot reload? And I think that this may or may not be connected to this one. Does it work well for server and client?
I'm going to be really unpopular now. Hot reload is my biggest disappointment. Hot reload does not work for me. I don't use it. I don't care about it because it never works. There, I said it.
When it works, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it works very well for really small sites, at least for me. But as soon as you put anything more than basically the demo site, then we can have a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. I don't use it anymore because it is such a pain. You're like, is it going to do anything? Oh no, I'm just going to rebuild it. So now I just don't even use it. I just rebuild all the time. So yeah.
So there you go. Can I write Blazor WASM code that runs on the client inside a Blazor server application that runs on the server? Best of both worlds.
So if I'm trying to think how, yes. So you could, I don't know if it would come through on the Blazor WASM. So you've got Blazor server, and if you had the root set up, I'm just winging it here, and I'll see what everyone else thinks here. But if you've got your Blazor server, you're going and making requests to that. So if you've got a page there that serves it up, I don't know how the routing kicks in behind on the Blazor WASM. If it downloads in behind it, it's an interesting thing. We can. And it's Thindle. So Thindle, you can go download my repo and have a play. I think that'd be quite interesting. But maybe Jimmy, Jessica, Daniel, have you tried that? Do you know?
No, I haven't tried that. I believe I've seen, at least in the beginning of Blazor, that someone did kind of having Blazor servers load everything first and then convert it to WASM. But
But you can also,
I'm not sure.
if you host your WebAssembly on an app service in an Azure, for example, you can have some pre-rendering on the server also combined with WebAssembly.
I think what he's asking though is if you have specific pages on your server that aren't in the Blazor WASM. Is that what it is? Because
we need to investigate.
I know. I'm going to talk to Thindle. Thindle's on my Discord, so I can have a chat with him later on and see exactly what he means. And then we'll have a play.
That sounds fun. Okay, is it possible to convert Maui apps to Blazor applications?
Well, I'm sure everything's possible. I don't know if you'd want to do that. Let's have a look at the Blazor Maui Blazor app.
It depends what you mean with the Maui app. If it's written in SAML, you have to rewrite the UI at least.
If you get the Blazor app, I'm just bringing it up now. I'm just going to have a look. So it has, well, I don't know if you want to share my screen just briefly. If you had your Blazor app here, so this is a Blazor Maui app. So this is a template specifically that says Blazor Maui. So in this particular one, it's basically the same. You got your counter.razor, your fetch.razor. So it looks the same. It just has platforms. Now the program is quite different, but if you pulled all of the pages and the shared out into a shared project, you could both projects could reference that shared class library or Razor library and run it that way. So you could extract stuff out of this Maui Blazor app and do that. But Daniel's quite right. If it is written in XAML, you're going to have to confirm that. So I think you could do it if it was just this Maui app Blazor. So that if you go new project and you can have a look here, that is, if I just put Maui, you get these, I don't know if that's big enough, but you've got .NET Maui app, .NET Maui Blazor app, and a .NET Maui class library. So if you choose that middle one, the .NET Maui Blazor app, you could start to share code data. So yeah, it depends. It depends.
But that is a good answer, though. It always depends, doesn't it? Is there any reason to use Angular over Blazor when you have C# programmers in the building?
I think Angular is a lot smaller payload. So if size matters on your actual client app, then that could be a reason to go to Angular. If you've already got an Angular app, perhaps, that you're maintaining, maybe there's not much reason to go over to a Blazor app. I'm not sure about Angular versus Blazor on speed. I guess with the interpreted code, an Angular app could be faster. But again, I'm going to say it depends.
As always, everything depends.
Yeah, that is true. The universal answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump into the next one. What killed Silverlight for us was browser caching and code changes not being reflected on the client. Is there any tips and tricks for Blazor WASM to avoid or mitigate caching issues?
Yeah, I want to know that too, because I updated my page this week and it took 4 or 6 hours for the CSS file to be updated.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. I am just going to say I don't know. There is a lot of settings around caching that you can do. And I don't know if there's something in there, or do you have to force a flush of the cache? I don't know. It's a very good good question, Toasty Cyril.
I think that the caching is not done in the web browser, but instead in the application caching storage something. I don't know. I don't remember the name for it. So the caching is done by the Microsoft JavaScript. So it should be better than the problems that we had in Silverlight. I haven't tried it. But
Theoretically,
yeah, it depends.
We just suffix everything with "it depends."
Okay, so I think we have time for one more comment. Wow, never thought to use head outlets like this. Or head outlet, I should say,
You
right?
see, it's just my favorite component, and it brings me so much joy. And I think, oh my goodness, I can update this. So if you combine your pre-rendered app with head outlet and update all of your meta tags, all of your SEO woes disappear. Well, that's most of your SEO woes disappear because you don't get that loading screen. You really do. I think pre-rendering is the most interesting thing to have a go at. So, you know, you do have to host it. There is a server behind it. It is a little bit fiddly. Those two blogs that I mentioned in my slides really are clear and concise. Follow those, or have a look at my ready-made repo and go and have a play with that. I think it really is just like the piece de la resistance for it all, you know? So, yeah.
That's good. And Layla, you should also head over to Twitter because there was a green screen.
Oh, no.
It's good. It's all good. But there was a green screen. And
Of course there was.
Of course. Well, someone might have been busy.
Are you looking at the person beside you, Jessica?
No.
I need to...
No, I'm looking innocent. This is my innocent face.
Oh, I see. It's like that, is it?
That's
All right, the gloves come off.
Yep. Well,
Oh, yeah.
when you accidentally just turn off our background so the green screen shows.
Yes. Thoughts.
No, it's all in good fun, and there was just cats and dogs, and I think I was not the only one though.
Okay.
So we need to check that out.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. It was a blast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having
Thank
me.
you.
Bye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Bye bye.